When you wish upon a star is a simple preference that is taken along in Disney's new movie Wish and turned into the entire premise of the film, while also finding clever and unique ways to celebrate Disney's 100th anniversary. What's up, folks? I'm Matt, and this is a real review. And for those of you who haven't tuned in, thank you, or tuned in before, welcome. And for those of you who have tuned in before, thank you for coming back and checking out these reviews that we do over here at Watt Real Entertainment. We got a lot going on, but you're not here to talk to me to watch me talk about my channel. You're here to watch me talk about Wish, the latest Disney film, and honestly, there's a lot to like about this film. It's not perfect, but it's got a lot of nice, cute quirks and interesting things that they do within the film that ultimately make it a fun ride at the theater. Um, First and foremost, the voice cast is great. The music, secondly, music, fantastic. Thirdly, the animation, and thirdly is definitely most important. The animation is spectacular. So, first off, the voice cast, led by Ariana Debose and Chris Pine. I had a lot of fun with what these two are doing. Um, Ariana DeBose is playing. Her name is Asha. She's playing Asha, who has this dream of making her grandfather's wish come true, and ultimately everyone in the village, or in the kingdom, I should say. Well, the King Magnifico, played by Chris Pine, uh, excuse me, he is the one in charge of granting everyone's wish, and she has an interview to be his apprentice and just figure out how she can make her grandfather's wish come true. Well, it turns out King Magnifico is not as magnificent as he may sound, and he only grants wishes that he deems worthy, and it becomes this whole thing of what wishes should be deemed worthy and what shouldn't. And that's kind of how the story evolves to where she ultimately wishes upon a star that comes down and begins to help her on her journey of granting these wishes. Um, Ariana DeBose has just one of the most exciting presences on, whether it be on screen in the West Side Story, on stage when she was the Bullet in Hamilton, or even apparently in the voiceover booth, because she did a fantastic job bringing Asha to life in Wish and making you feel everything that her character was going through on screen. And that's part of the reason why I think voiceover acting doesn't get as much love as it deserves, because honestly, these people have to convince you that they are acting with each other, and they are doing all of this other stuff together when they aren't. It's just in a booth. It's really incredible how films that are animated do a fantastic job of coming together when not a lot of them have those actors together. So hats off to the talent there and the directors for making that such an awesome experience for this film. I want to talk a little bit more about the music. I personally loved most of the songs in this film. They're catchy. They're not Lin-Manuel Miranda-esque catchy, but they still are catchy. And especially when you have talents like Ariana DeBose, see Hamilton and West Side Story, and Chris Pine, see Into the Woods. You are able to make these films feel more like an event because of the voice talent you have behind them. So that, I think, is really cool. But ultimately, I also think the premise of the film was a nice nod to Disney and its history, and just giving Disney children, Disney adults, Disney fans in general, just something that they can really latch onto. Um, you can realistically play an Easter egg game in this film because Disney leaves a ton of Easter eggs throughout the film, whether it be with character names, costumes, uh, just actions done within the film themselves. That is an Easter egg hunt. Uh, I found a couple. My fiance Jen found a couple, and it was just honestly some of the most fun that you can have, while also Disney just giving itself a pat on the back for all of these animated memories that they've helped create over the years, including classics such as Cinderella, Snow White, so on and so forth. And no, it's not just limited to the Disney princesses, so that was cool. However, ultimately, as the issue can be with children's films sometime, due to needing to fit within like an hour and a half just runtime or slightly over, sometimes the story can suffer a little bit. And one of those instances for me is when Magnifico finishes his song that's about getting to work and figuring out who is behind bringing the star to the kingdom, and 30 seconds later he's knocking at Asha's door. Like, yeah, let's have this show-stopping song and just figuring it out 30 seconds later. Just that was a little bit off to me. The only other real complaint I have, uh, and this one hurts because I'm a big Alan Tudyk fan, but Alan Tudyk brought the film down for me, and it's not his fault. Um, I think it was just part what he's given to work with, and part the voice they decided to have him do as Valentino the baby goat. And for me, as someone who watches Harley Quinn the animated series on Max, I kept hearing a mixture of his Clayface and his Joker because he voices both characters on that show. And as an adult who's watched that, I was just pulled out anytime that character was speaking. One thing, and this is honestly the last thing I wanted to touch on. This is an ending on a positive. Is the animation, because Disney does something different for them here. It's very much their kind of take on a Spider-Verse animation, because it with this film they didn't go 2D fully. This is a 2D 3D animation hybrid film, and that's really interesting to me. And and it's been said in interviews there were talks about making this film a 3D or a totally 2D animated film, and they ultimately decided not to. Part of me wishes they had, because there are times where the 2D animation looks better than the 3D, and the 3D animation looks better than the 2D, and moments where you can see they're switching from one to the other, and it looks off for just a split second, but ultimately it's not. So overall, if I'm going to rate Wish, I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 5. The Alan Tudyk of it all, and just treating people like they're 2 years old, even like that felt that one big decision to just go, hey, let's give him this song about figuring this out and coming up with a plan. So 30 seconds later, he's already at that. Those two things really hurt the grade for me. Overall, I did enjoy the Easter eggs. I did enjoy the story. I did enjoy Wish in general, and I think you guys will too. But enough about Wish. If you haven't already, subscribe to us, and also subscribe to our sister channel, Watt Gaming, that's run by my buddy Taylor Cleek, where all of our Twitch streams go, and clips and all that to live after our Twitch streams. And also, if you haven't already checked out my review for Napoleon, that dropped shortly ago, about an hour or so ago. So be sure to check that out. But also be sure to come back later today for the last review of the day in Saltburn by MGM and Amazon Studios. That was a trip in itself that you'll be able to hear me talk about in that review, which I can't wait to share with you guys. But with that, folks, signing off, I am Matt. This was another Real Review, and we'll see you next time.